What you're about to experience are my opinions and truths. I'm suggesting they're possibilities for you to consider, in which you can then come up with your own logical conclusions. Hello everyone, welcome once again. My name is Logan and this is Decode Your Reality. Today I'm going to be breaking down the brand new 25-cent piece, the quarter from the United States Mint, or the Federal Reserve I should say. This will be the 2020 quarter decoded. Now I don't want to lose you with not having an interest in this, because I promise you this will be very enlightening for you. Because, why did they put a bat on the 2020 quarter? I mean, it's one of the most circulated coins that go around, but what is the significance of this bat? And I'm going to show you, and I'm going to clearly tell you now, and I'm going to support that by saying the game of life that we all play is completely fixed and rigged. And what I mean by that is that, you see, it's playing out its part without you having to do anything. And I could even go on to say that my part, your part, is absolutely meaningless. Because if we take ourselves out of the equation, this agenda that this world is playing out will continue. Kind of makes us feel like a piece of sand on the beach. But I'm not degrading anything here, folks. I know everything plays out its role, but the game of life is fixed. And I'm going to show that to you once again. So I'm going to be primarily using the cards of illumination for this presentation. I'm going to be using numerology and the tarot and alchemy, but this will be the primary focal point of this presentation. So if you're new to this, folks, and you're interested in the cards, like maybe you play poker or blackjack or something, but you've never understood it for as far as like this is embedded into astrology, which is why you have all these planets here, and it's embedded into mathematics and nature. There's a very big reason why these are extremely accurate when decoding your name and your birthday, which is, if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for your support. You already know how important these cards are. If you're new, just follow along. It's like putting a puzzle together, but I promise you, you will learn something new and it will enlighten you today if you're willing to stick with this presentation. But nonetheless, this is the primary focal point of this presentation, because why did they put a bat on there? Why? And I say they because, man is being used. They're being used, folks. We are being used. So nonetheless, this is the primary focal point. This is a fixed chart. It does move. These cards all move around every single year. You're going to have your own independent chart for your own birthday. But this right here is the starting point of all the cards. And then there's another one as well, but I'm primarily focusing on this one. So these are the charts that I have. If you're interested in these graphics, just inbox me, decodeyourreality@gmail.com, and I'll send them to you. But these are the 52 cards with the 2 jokers. And, notice there's hearts, clubs, diamonds, and spades. There are the 4 suits right there. This is the natural lineage of these cards. They go up to 13. The kings are the top dogs. And it goes down to the bottom where the aces are beginning the charge of these cards. They also fit into the tarot. The tarot is an offshoot, or I like to say it's like a cousin card of the cards of illumination. And these are numbered a little differently because there are more cards in the tarot deck than in the cards of illumination. These are highly accurate. Again, there's 52 cards matching the 52 weeks of the year. There are 4 suits matching the 4 seasons. Highly, highly accurate. And that's what we're going to be primarily focusing on today, along with the tarot. Tarot's really accurate too when you link them together. I'm also going to be bringing in the animal tarot. Again, if you want these graphics, hit me up, decodeyourreality@gmail.com, and I'll send them to you. There are 52 of these, and these are obviously expressed through animals. The symbology is through the animals with the numbers. Very, very important. So here we go, folks. These are the methods of my decoding for this presentation, what I'm going to be using, and the primary focal point. Again, cards of illumination. That leads to the tarot. The 11th card, the Jack of Hearts, becomes the 11th card in the tarot, the Justice card. Now I'm highlighting this one right there because, as you notice, I have a big cross right here. Most of you know what that symbol is. Some of you wear it around your neck. Some of you bow to it. Some of you pray to it. What does it mean when it comes to the cards? Well, it's the 11th card in the lineages of the cards. So if I go back here and show you, the Jack of Hearts right here is the 11th card. Okay? So now that we have that in mind. So it sits in the very dead center, the bullseye of the cross that we've made on this chart. I've blackened out the other cards there and highlighted just the cross for this presentation. Because of the bat. The 2020 quarter is in here, and I'm going to show you where it's at. Nonetheless, here it is. Jack of Hearts is called the Jesus card. Notice, the Jack starts with the letter J, as in Jesus. And of course, again, it's the 11th card, which is tied to the 11th card in the tarot, which is the Justice card. Now, if you follow theology, I'm not interested if Jesus was real. I don't really care, to be honest with you. And I don't mean that to put down Jesus, the idea, because the idea makes Jesus real. But the point is I have no interest in trying to debate whether or not he was a real man walking on the earth. That doesn't really interest me, because there's no way to prove it. Just an opinion, right? But the idea, I can say, is true. And since the Jack starts with the letter J and his name is Jesus in the English, well, that kind of is a pretty logical connection there. And the fact that he's all about love, because that's what the New Testament was all about, and he's the Jack of Hearts, well, there's another link there. The fact that he's all about justice, that's another link. Notice, he has the two pieces sitting in between the two pillars, holding the scales, holding the sword, wearing the crown. And the fact that it's the 11th card, 11 is the number of magic, it's the number of alternating current, aka electricity, Elohim. And it sits in the dead center of the cross. And, my friend Sharon Jeffers, who's a master at the cards, she calls it the Christ card. And obviously, that's why. Notice that it sits in the Venus line. Venus is the morning star, which Jesus refers to himself in the book of Revelations. It's kind of interesting because also Lucifer is referred to as the morning star. Could they be the same character? Notice in the elements of the periodic table. Now we bring science into this. And again, folks, if you're new to this, see how we're just connecting all of these together? All these are the 11s. And then we're making a story. We're going to be putting all these together. But notice that the 11th element is sodium. Those of you that follow my work and you've seen the King Solomon's Temple, you know that the salt bridge, that's one of Jesus's elements, along with 10 and 12. So another link there. And then, of course, in the animal tarot, folks, we have the moose card. And the moose is one of the largest, if not the largest land animal on earth. Massive. And they live a long time. They're smart. You should probably check them out on YouTube. I think they're absolutely fascinating, but, very powerful animal. What an interesting animal to represent the Jack of Hearts and the idea of Jesus and the justice. Very elegant animals. Sodium is salt, like the salt of the earth. And if you understand how batteries work, well, a battery needs the salt bridge in order to transfer the power between the anode and the cathode, the positive and negative. Jesus is that currency, the bridge between worlds, which is why he sits right in the middle. So now that we've developed that, folks, that was the boring part. Okay, now let's get into the actual presentation and go a little bit further. Now we bring numerology into it, my other favorite. And I like to go to the originating factors of numerology because, Jesus wasn't the actual the original name. It was Jesus, and the Greeks actually developed Jesus because Jesus came out in the New Testament. He wasn't in the Old Testament. You ain't going to find him in the Old Testament. His birth was in the New Testament, which was developed by the Greeks, written by the Greeks. And this is the actual spelling of the word Jesus in Greek. And when you break it down through the Greek in numerology, he's going to be, different variations in other ones. He's a 96 in this one. He's also an 87. There's many other variations of it, but I'm using the 96. It's very fitting, folks. 96 is the yin-yang, the black and the white, the perfect balance of duality, which, if you had to represent Jesus, that's what it would be. And of course, the match, when you say Jack Hearts, it's a 96. So you see the synchronicities there, the links and connections without trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. I mean, these are direct connections right here. So then when we bring in the elements of the periodic table, we bring science into this to give us another layer, another piece of the puzzle. The 96, which is linked to Jesus' name in the Greek, the original coining of it, becomes the element curium. You're like, well, what does curium have to do with it? Well, again, it's the 96th element, folks. And it is the yin-yang of the periodic table. Notice its most abundant isotope or atomic mass, which are these numbers right there. What it weighs is, 247.070. 247. The 47 is right there. That is tetragrammaton. For most of you that follow my work, you know what that is. That's the ancient Israelite God talked about in the Bible. And then, of course, the 2 there separates that 47, but nonetheless, the 47 is there. So let's keep going. We're trying to get to the bat on the quarter for 2020. What does it mean? What does Jesus got to do with the bat? Well, the 11th card is the Jack of Hearts, which sits in the very dead center of this cross. And I showed you that the 11th element is sodium, the salt of the earth. The salt bridge when it comes to science and the mechanics of a battery. Notice that Archangel Michael, who is referred to as Jesus, is 22 in the Chaldean numerology, which is a direct match of the element sodium and its atomic mass. You see how this plays a role? So now we're defining that. And this is the scripture that I quoted in the very beginning, Revelation 22 verses 16. Notice it's chapter 22, like sodium's weight of 22 and Michael, the name 22. But it says, I have sent my angel to testify under you these things to the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David and the bright and morning star. The Bible's a very dangerous book because it's been rewritten so many times and people, think, oh, that's what it means because it's written in English. And, you can decode it obviously that way, but the Greeks wrote the New Testament. And you got to go decode. You can even decode morning star in the Greek if you want to. If you type in Revelation 22 verses 16 Greek Bible, you'll get a variation of what it means on morning star, which will become phosphorus, and that's the element It's number 15 and 30, and that's related to rabbit. And so, but it keeps going on and on. But I wanted to point this out because, you see, that's what Lucifer is referred to as. Morning star. Most people that study the esoteric, they know that Lucifer is Venus. So could the Christ actually be Lucifer? Could they be the same character, or are they separate? That's a big question to ponder. And, for most of you that are into theology, that, like the Bible and all that stuff, you'll completely flat out say, absolutely not. Jesus and Lucifer, that's Satan. And, that's what a lot of people believe. And I don't take that away from their beliefs. That's what they want to believe. That's cool. But nonetheless, it's right there, morning star, right? And he's the morning star. So here brings in the other layer, and we're getting to the bat, folks. So stick with me. I promise you, this will be well worth your time invested in watching this. Notice, this is what I started with, the chart on the left. And now I want to do the inversion of that cross. Because there's always the upside down world, right? Some of you have watched Stranger Things, great show. The upside down world. The inversion of our world. And these just play against one another, folks. And notice that the inverted cross is in the line of Saturn. It's kind of funny. The universe has a really amazing sense of humor. Like, whatever created this universe and our world and all this is got a serious sense of humor. Like, it just makes me laugh now. But anyway, most people think Saturn is Satan. Kind of goes together. That's cool. Saturn's the cold planet, contracting, the maker and taker, father time. Kills his children. Farthest away from the sun. Well, not the farthest, but, the opposite of the sun in a lot of ways. And, it's Saturn and Venus. Could this be father and daughter? Could Venus be the daughter? Saturn be the father? Because, Saturn's chronos, father time, runs time of what we know about time. And, if you follow theology, Jesus said you ain't going to get to the Father except through me. Well, maybe you have to go through this. I don't know. But anyway, the inversion of the cross using these charts, folks, is in the line of Saturn. But notice, there is Jupiter at the bottom because, again, they run horizontally and vertically, these planets, using these charts. And again, these are highly accurate. If you're new to this, I'm not trying to persuade you. If you've been following my research, you know how I've been showing over and over how accurate these cards are. So now we have the Jack of Hearts for the right side up cross, and then we have the upside down cross with the Three of Spades and Saturn, Venus. Okay? So now we bring in the bat to all this. The 2020 quarter. Why did they put the bat on the quarter? We're getting to that part, folks. We have the Three of Spades now in the upside down cross in the line of Saturn. And, the Three of Spades is the 42nd card in the lineage on those graphics that I showed you earlier. In the tarot, the 42nd card, in using the Fool as the 22nd card, by the way, you can also look at it as the Seven of Cups, but looking at it from the Fool as the 22nd card, this is the 42nd card, the Six of Cups. Now I want to zoom in. I want to show you the symbology of this card. It's a little, probably male figure. And of course, notice it's wearing red and blue. We're going to come back to that. But there is great significance to that symbology right there. Massive. And, he's giving flowers to this female little... And I just look at them as little kids, kind of like going back to your childhood. Like, how were you when you were a child? I think that's the way we need to become in this matrix reality when it's time to really advance and move to the next level. We need to become innocent and childlike. We can't take life so serious. Getting ourselves wrapped up in all the craziness it really, this eludes us. We no longer partake in this. We lose the fact and the scope on life is just really beautiful. It really is. But it's so easy to get bogged down with a bunch of bullshit by turning on the news, social media. That's so funny. People, I don't watch the news. I don't own a TV, but they sit in front of the computer and just completely be engrossed in social media, which tells you the same thing, if not more. But anyway, so this is the Six of Cups, the 42nd card. So is this telling us the message? Because we got to, folks, look, we got to go up. I mean, it is, you have one down and one up. It's heaven and hell. This is hell and this is heaven. Not figuratively, but that's what we're looking at here. And it just goes up and down, up and down. And so how do we get back to the top? We got to become childlike and giving to others, service to the world, smelling the flowers, enjoying life. That's what this means. And then, the 42nd card in the animal, the medicine cards, is the bat. How about that? 2020 quarter just came out. It's got a bat on it. Well, now you're starting to see why. This is hell. And this is AKA where we're at. Got to get through this. And then, of course, the element that represents the 42 is this one right there. I'm going to get back to this as well. So these are the layers for the upside down cross, which is where the bat comes into play. Now, I want to point out, because obviously in the story of theology, or even good cop, bad cop, black and white, good and evil, up and down, magnetism, dielectricity, you always have opposites. And, in the book of Isaiah, in the Old Testament, there's only one mention of the character Lucifer. Only one time in the Bible. That's it. It's not even spelled that way. I pronounce it hell, which is very fitting for the whole story. And again, I'm not saying it's true, folks. Just pointing out obvious things. But notice, through the original Hebrew spelling in Isaiah 14 verses 12, the character that the Latins gave it, the Roman Catholic Church gave it, is Lucifer, but it's actually hell or Halil, and it's 39. That's its number. 39 is linked to the element yttrium. And I want you to focus on two things. Number one, it's this. 88 miles an hour, Marty McFly, Back to the Future, time travel. Donald John Trump, Trump equals 88. Mr. 88 himself, kind of interesting. But notice the symbol for yttrium. It's the letter Y. And what is the shape of a snake's tongue? I got it right there. Kind of looks like a letter Y, doesn't it? I think so. Kind of interesting, right? Very interesting. So could it be that this 42nd card, this heart of Saturn in the upside down cross, is talking about Lucifer, the snake, the serpent, the deceiver? Is that what it's talking about? And what has it got to do with a bat? We're almost getting there, folks. I'm building my story here. Notice when we pick out the word Satan, the adversary. Get away from me, Satan. That story. Satan, we're all Satan, folks. You and me, everybody listening, we all have Satan within us. We were born into the sin wave, the sine wave, the dragon wave. We inherited this character, Satan. That's called your ego. And that's what you got to win to get to the next level. And power up. Notice it's a 55, which interestingly enough is the 10th Fibonacci number, and 10 is the Yod He Vahe, which is just a personality. This is just the personality of the ancient Israelite God. That's all it is. We all have personalities. What do you think the deity of the Bible is? The God of the Bible even tells you, I'm a jealous God. What does that tell you? It's got an ego. It's a no-brainer, folks. Nonetheless, 55 is linked to the 3 of spades, and the 3 of spades equals 120, and 120 is 55. So you can see that, these are all in bed together, and it's clear as day what that means. So again, Satan, Saturn, it's in the Saturn line, upside down cross, satanic. Is it kind of getting clear to you? And then we bring in this element, the 42nd element, and realize and understand, here is right off the Royal Society of Chemistry, not from me, I'm not making this up, but this name of this element is derived from the Greek word, and it means lead. So card 42, in this position of the upside down cross in the dead center where the heart would go, is linked to the 42nd element, which means lead. And most of you that follow esoteric, that know science and alchemy, Saturn is lead. It's a no freaking brainer. That's a no-brainer. And here's where the Batman comes in, folks. Fights crime in Gotham. Well, again, going back, here's the 3 of spades. Right in the dead center of the upside down cross, there's the bat on the quarters of the 2020 quarters. And I placed the bat because bats, what do? They sleep upside down. They hang upside down. And it just so happens that the 3 of spades sitting in that dead center spot, it's the 42nd card, and the 42nd medicine card in the Animal Tarot is the bat card. What are the odds of that being the case? And I don't know who designed these. I know who did, but I don't personally know them. And did they sit down with this system and say, and then understand, they're going to make a quarter in 2020 and got to name it the bat because we got to match it up with this. And did the people that made the quarter, did they realize that the 3 of spades sits in the bat line because it's 42? I don't know. I wasn't there. So I can't guarantee you that some of these people making these things in this matrix reality have consciously done it. But if you asked me my opinion, I'll tell you again, man is being used. We are being used to fulfill out this planet and matrix we all live upon because it's just too complicated. This methodology that I've discovered. I don't know if I'm the only one using it or have discovered it or whatnot, but can you see how challenging it would be to really do these kinds of things? Batman came out in 1939. Imagine that, and I just showed that right here. 1939, the first issue of Batman came out. 1939. And now I'm showing it linked to this right here in Lucifer. And he's supposed to be the guy who helps out humanity. He's the superhero in all this. If you haven't seen my movie on the Joker that I broke down in 2019, and of course Revolution, just broke that down. I break this down heavily because it's predictive programming. How about the tarot, folks? This one, this one's amazing. Now, I told you we'd be getting into the red and blue. Remember that with the little kids on the other tarot card, the 6 of Cups? Well, notice it's the same colors on the hangman card. Here it is, card number 12. If you know the tarot, that's Pisces card. 12, the clock strikes midnight. You got to surrender. That's what Pisces means, the 2 fish. Enlightenment, because then 13's death. But notice, I want to point out this scripture here in the Old Testament. Now we're going back to Hebrew again, which is the fear-based aspect of the Bible. Old Testament's fear, New Testament is love. Love and fear are the 2 dualistic emotions. that we all carry. But anyway, Isaiah, 14 verses 12, talks about the only scripture that talks about Lucifer. The only time that character is mentioned in the entire Bible, one time, and it is in this scripture right here, where it actually refers to it by its name, which is not even Lucifer, it's hell, because the Romans chose Lucifer. But anyway, 14 verses 12, Isaiah. Here are the two cards, 14 and 12. 14's the angel, the temperance, the angel balancing everything. And then the hangman. I mean, does that not describe what this scripture in the Old Testament says? Fall from heaven? Well, here's the angel, and he's upside down. Falling from heaven. That's kind of how, I don't know, what do you see? I mean, I think it's clear. And, here is the hangman on the upside down cross. And that's why I have Mercury and Saturn, the red and blue, because look at his pants. Red, Mercury, blue, Saturn. Of course, keep in mind his hair is yellow. Lucifer is always, well, except for the TV show on Netflix, but he was always depicted with blonde hair. I mean, blonde hair. And again, I'm going to go back. See, red and blue, there is the Six of Cups right there. Red and blue. You see that? Same spot. 42nd card. There it is. I mean, what is it you see? But this is 51, by the way. Saturn is 5, Mercury is 1. 51 or the 15. If you go upside down, it'd be the 1-5. That's the devil card. 15, 1-5. It's kind of interesting. Really interesting, if you ask me. So now let's get in and put the charts side by side. And, this is, look, the band Black Sabbath, I don't know if you're a fan of their work, but I am, because there's a lot of truth in what they sing about. They're being used. And they say life, it goes on and on. It's heaven and hell. That's right. Because, you see, this indicates, going back to the Christ, the heaven part. Being reborn, salvation, redemption. And, again, Jesus was 96, if you remember. In the original spelling, not Jesus, because Jesus can be 74 and 18 and many spellings. The original is, partly it's 96, it's also 87, but there it is, the black and white, the yin-yang, the Christ. And it just so happens that when we say curium, this element, it's 22, it's a direct match of Michael, Archangel Michael. What about the opposite end, in hell? Well, then we go back to hell, or Lucifer in the original Hebrew spelling. It's 39, if you remember that. Well, yttrium is 22. And 22 is a match for dragon. The great dragon gets hurled down. You see how Michael and the dragon are exactly the same in numerology using the cipher? It's really fascinating, folks. Up and down the scale we go. It goes on and on. It's heaven and hell. This life that we live is cyclical. It runs on cycles. We live in a battery. Here are the animal cards again. Here's Jesus, the moose, number 11. And here is Satan or Lucifer. Not even sure if they're the same character. Not saying that's the way it is, but let's just say Saturn. Saturn and Venus, 11 and 42. The bat's upside down, the moose is right side up. Look at this. Moose and bat is 33. How many steps are there in Freemasonry? 33. How many vertebrae in our back? 33. What are the paths to enlightenment? 33. So I got this here. And of course, you got two snakes. One snake, two snakes. It's really easy when you see it this way. What about the tarot cards? Let's bring those in. We're almost finished with this presentation, folks. Here's Jesus, the justice. Jesus, justice, J. clear, obviously, holds the scales, holds the sword. And then you got the lower energies, but it's childlike. It means it's telling you, you gotta go back to being a child. Go back to your childhood. Give service to others. That's how you win the game of life. So when you climb this ladder and you get judged, you'll make it to the next level. Well, when you do the numerology on those two cards, Justice, Six of Cups, it becomes 67. And then you go down here, 6, 7 is 33. Another 33. Another 33 steps. And to finish this presentation off, folks, the Jack of Hearts and the Three of Spades. Jesus, Satan or Lucifer or Saturn, however you want to look at it. Jack Hearts is 27, numerology. That's the element cobalt, 27th element, which has dragons linked to it, by the way. And then Three Spades is 45, which is linked to Father, Son, and that is the element rhodium, the rose, tied to the Rosicrucians. So what is the significance of this? Well, when you add them up, 58.933 and 102.906, what is it you see there, folks? That would be called the golden ratio. That's the golden ratio. 1.61. It's also the latitude, longitude of the Great Pyramid of Giza, which I'm going to be breaking down and decoding. That was a little sneak peek for you. Right in there, folks. Golden ratio. It goes on and on. It's heaven and hell. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Waves. Constructive, destructive, constructive, destructive. So I'm going to finish you off with this, folks. This should really ring some bells for you, okay? So these charts, and I'm going to digress really quick. I'm going to show you. Now, again, this chart right here is standard. Like, this is the number one chart, like actually the zero chart. All these cards are in different positions. As we move through life, as your birthday moves, these charts move. So all these cards will move around. You'll notice, I have highlighted the Ace of Spades because, that's supposed to be the Three of Spades, but it's not there anymore. These cards move around. This is for the year 244. This is the chart for year. If you were 244 years old, this is what the chart would look like. I'm showing this is because this is the current chart of the United States of America. The birthday, July 4th, 1776. That was the birth year of the United States. Well, now we're in the year 2020. So 2020 minus 1776 is 244. United States is coming up on its 245th birthday. But right now, this chart is relevant. And I'm pointing this out, folks, right here for a very specific reason. Remember, this is the hell part. Got to get through this. Got to go up to this level. But we're here. And it's the Ace of Spades card. Notice the symbology. This is an upside down heart and it's black. That's why most people that are spades, they're really good critics, maybe pessimistic, tough with their love issues. It's the opposite of the heart. If you look at the symbol, it's an upside down heart. The element plutonium has a direct match of the United States year right now. 244 is a match. Plutonium has an atomic mass of 244. It's the 94th element. Why am I showing these? Well, because you see, folks, right now, the Declaration of Independence was written in 1776. And if you subtract this year From 1776, you get 244, which is plutonium. What is plutonium all about? Well, that's the planet Pluto, the planet of death and regeneration. It's Lord Shiva, the god of destruction. I think I have the wrong statue here. Someone pointed that out. Thank you for pointing that out. But anyway, this is what the Shiva statue looks like. It's at CERN in Geneva, Switzerland. Destruction. Shiva. 1/3 of the pantheon of the Vedic system. History repeats itself, folks. The New World Order. The Constitution is going to be destroyed. Maybe not fully, but look at what we're going through. We are in a revolution right now. Hot and heavy. And that's why. Because, see, man is being used. And I'm going to leave you with this one right here, folks. This one says it all. Now, I'm going to digress. Here it is. In the upside down cross in the dead center for this year of the United States is the Ace of Spades. And what's going on in our world right now, these two corporations or entities or demon entities, I call them, the CDC and the World Health Organization, their founding dates, the World Health is April 7th, the CDC is July 1st. Their card, folks, is the freaking Ace of Spades. And the Ace of Spades equals 33 in numerology. And of course, you know who this bozo is who runs everything. Mr. Demon Gates himself. Just playing out his role, playing out his part. I could care less because I don't have to do anything. He's going to get his karmic value. That's how life works. But folks, look at this. These two organizations which runs everything when it comes to health, and if we all know that the COVID was man-made. And who's trying to push the vaccine? And remember, this guy has the Seven of Hearts, which is the counter of the Ace of Spades. This guy does. He's in bed with the Ace of Spades, with the CDC and the World Health Organization. It's 33, and it just so happens that it sits in the line of the upside down cross of this year of the United States. Folks, we're going to be moving through plutonium. Next, July 4th, we have a new birthday coming up. It changes. We're actually moving into the Two of Clubs card. That's for a different story, but that's it, folks. Highly accurate. It's clear. They're using magic and rituals on the world, and people don't even really understand, and they don't even know this exists. When you understand and you see it, you can start to see what their next move's going to be, because these cards move. Okay? So what is it that you saw during this presentation? Another long one? Thank you so much for sticking with me. These presentations are getting better and better because obviously the knowledge keeps pouring in, starts to show me more things, and it's getting more clear now what's going on. But what did you see during this presentation? Showed a lot of stuff. But I'm going to leave it on this one right here, folks, because this one's important. History will repeat itself. They knew the New World Order was coming in. Maybe they knew it's plutonium. But nonetheless, I mean, even the Queen of England, who now is not even in Buckingham Palace anymore, it's boarded up. They've taken the seal off the gates. How old is the Queen? 94. The Queen is 94. Man is being used, folks, and you got to get used to that. You got to start understanding how this all works so you have a shot at graduation. So that's all I got for today. My name is Logan. This is Decode Your Reality. Thank you so much for watching.